My name is Sean G. Murphy. I'm a farm boy from Ohio. Barely made it through high school, drove by a lot of colleges, and I've spent many years speaking and training and helping people to have more of what they want and less of what they don't. Oftentimes we get asked, what's a success story of yours? One of the biggest success stories, I guess, was when this 0.9 grade point average farm boy winds up as vice president of sales of a $200 million network marketing company responsible for North America and Europe. And they didn't ask me for my resume in such a way that I would have had to reveal I would have never went to university. That's one of my biggest success stories, is being able to go from nowhere to now having stood on stage in 30 plus countries around the world. After 30 plus years of speaking and training, one of the things that resonates today more than ever is we have a choice in this moment. And in this moment, we can choose joy or we can choose misery. And right now, every day on my morning calls or in any trainings that I'm invited to speak at, that's how we start out. What is your level of joy right now? Because if you're not monitoring that, somebody else is influencing it. And it's time for you to take back control of your own joy. There's always the cool kids club, and everybody, they hop on ideas. And at the level of the individuals that are watching this, their desire is to move individuals. And the way that you move individuals is you move their spirit. And it's not done through HR. This is done through the top down. It's not from the bottom up. Although certain organizations, certain structures, the only way joy is ever going to wind up into the structure is from the bottom up. So this idea is that communities, right now there's a highest need for communities. And for all of those people who are operating on the fringes thinking joy is woo-woo, science is now proving, Harvard is now proving, you talk to any university, they talk about joy. Shawn Achor in his book, you talk about happiness. This idea of joy is so necessary right now that the way that you will be interviewed for your next position will be how much joy you brought to your organization. So I would encourage you, avoid the fringes and jump headfirst in. If you don't know how to do it, listen, there's enough funny cat videos on YouTube for you to get some joy. But seriously, that's where, in order to maximize every individual who's part of your organization, joy is going to need to be the next biggest thing. You're going to probably have in the next 12 months, not only an HR department, but a joy department. So it's one of the most recent. We just had I've grown up with dogs all my life, and this most recent puppy we have is supposed to be this Australian Husky mix, but we think it's reindeer and Dalmatian mix or Great Dane mix because its legs are just way too long for its body. It looks like a baby deer. So the way he lopes around the house just absolutely is hysterical. And we have two other dogs, and he just constantly stands up on top of them. And so that's always just joyful. And you can see the look in their eyes. If you have animals, you know what I'm talking about. That look is like, oh, good Lord. So yes, that was the most recent. That just happened before I left. All of our dogs are usually named after something Irish or an Irish liquor. It has both ends of that spectrum. Was birth of my son, Mason. The funny part was, the joyous part was when the doctor came in and saw Michelle and said, whoa, it's time to go schedule a time for you. But then I was in the room, in the operating room, and they took Mason out, C-section, and I got to hold him for the first 45 minutes by myself. And when he was inside, I used to sing "Tour Lure Lure" to him. And when I walked over to the nurses, they had me walk over there. I wasn't sure why. The rest of the story is quite interesting. But I started singing to him, and he instantly turned his head, and he started to just smile. So that's one of those goosebump moments. He's now 17. He's 6'1", 275. So he's not quite the infant he was back then. But that's a joyous moment. 17 years ago now. Tooralura, tooralurale, tooraluralura, hush, now don't you cry. Gratitude. This idea that I get to be a witness. Joy usually happens when we become the witness. We expect it to happen to us, but when it happens to us, our self-doubt, our self-talk keeps us from enjoying the joy that we bring to the world. We all want to be in service of others, but when we let others be in service to us, in this idea of joy, our world will change dramatically. You will elevate yourself instantly if you can see it. If you've quieted that internal voice that says, I'm not good enough, that's the only reason that you can walk around wherever you're at right now and not see the joy, is because you're telling yourself, you're not good enough. But you are. And in this moment, you can experience that joy. Because otherwise, misery will reign. And we need you to be the one that's the new archetype that can bring that joy. So in this moment, it's okay for you to have joy. So that's the word, the gratitude, that links all of that together for me. There's a lot of people, there's probably somebody who, the CEOs who are watching this right now, they wish they could bottle up that individual and put it in a box, put it in something, put it in an email, put it somewhere so that they could distribute it. They could just push a button and send it around their entire corporation. Well, you can do that. And there's the challenge is that box is now known as recognition and edification. And if we just started a program, every HR department is doing their best to inspire their employees, to get them happy, to increase workforce productivity. Edification will do that. Edification will bring more joy. And it's different than recognition. Recognition is knowing that somebody did their job well. Edification is the box that you can encapsulate joy in, because when you start telling other people's stories, people will stand in line to have their story told, and that will bring joy to your organization. I see it multicolor. I see it, it's this kaleidoscope of sun rays and joy and these light beams. There's sound to it. It sounds like an ice cream truck. It sounds like your favorite concert. It's all of these moments that when you open it up, glitter goes everywhere, and it sparkles, and there's poppers, and there's this thing that everybody is waiting for that box to be delivered to them. And what they don't realize is that if they just breathe and close their eyes, it's sitting right in front of them. I would first, if they're standing there waiting on a gratitude box and the CEOs are looking for it, that's what keeps them up at night. That's why they're standing. That's why they showed up at the plane to receive this box, because it was only for CEOs. And what I would say to them is, first of all, what was gratitude when you were 5? See, we have forgotten the joy that we had. We were all born champions. And because of either a protocol or a stigma or a title, we've kind of lived joy the way others have told us. But I bet if you remember back when you were either riding your bike or thinking of that girl that you wanted to get a kiss from, those moments that inspired you and caused you to just absolutely giggle, that's what's inside this box. Because you can't go get joy from a past that doesn't have it. But yet everybody's saying, look to the future. The only way you'll know how happy you've been is how happy you are right now. So what's inside this box that you're looking for right now, for your corporation, for your organization? Sorry, but it's got to start with you. And first of all, let me just say thank you for you being the one that's looking at this, watching this right now. Because if you're watching this, listen, between you and me, you're already a little screw loose somewhere. Because this isn't a common conversation that happens in boardrooms. So congratulations. I promise you it's the simplest things. It's not another font in an email, and it's not another background on a video in a Zoom. This is about you showing them who you are, the goofiness. And what's inside this box is permission for you to do what you know is inside your heart right now. I guess the next process would be is we've got people waiting for it, but who would I want to give it to? I would start with my family. I would start with my family because that's where I spend my most time. I would start with my inner circle. I would start with those individuals, those advocates, those people who talk to others about me, those people who promote my organizations and promote the books and promote the seminars. Those individuals, because right now, in this moment in time, anytime you go out and show that, the polarity that exists, there is such a fight to not have joy. So we have to go build our inner circle. We've got to go give those individuals. Anybody who influences people. I would like to give it to half of the people who have 1 million followers on social media, because there's that one scenario where a woman who had 2.4 million followers couldn't sell 40 t-shirts. That's not an influencer. That's somebody out for a walk. So I would love to be able to give it to those individuals who think that influence is control. Influence is not control. Influence is helping somebody have more of what they want and less of what they don't. So anybody who wants that, the line forms here. Get your box. I would encourage you to have this experience. I was blessed to be able to be invited into the Chair of Joy because of what I've presented myself as. Most CEOs are not having a conversation about joy. That's a 3-letter word that doesn't typically show up in bottom lines and in reports. I will tell you this, that sitting in the Chair of Joy, you have to have a certain understanding of who you are and yet who you're becoming. Because joy happens in every moment. What's happened at the start of this video when you watched it, or the start of my replay when you watched it, will never exist again. That's over. This moment right now is inevitable. And you have to ask yourself, what is inevitable for you, for your company, for your corporation? Is it joy or is it misery? So I would encourage you to take a chance to step in, to start your own Chair of Joy. Figure out a way for you to be able to give people a chance to hear your story, but also to remember their own joy. Because right now we have a mission to do, and the mission is to bring more joy to the world. And whether it be a chair, whether it be a folding chair, whether it be the car seat that you put your baby in, it matters not the chair, it matters the moment. Take a moment, have a conversation with someone about joy. So what has it been like to sit in the Chair of Joy? Here's my take on it. What I would ask you is could you spend 15 minutes and have 15 minutes that could change the rest of your life? Is there a chance that you could be asked some questions that are not your standard CEO interview conversations that would change the course of your company? In the short 15 minutes that I've spent here, I've learned more about Sherilyn. I've learned more about this mission because it's bigger than all of us who are watching this right now. And if you understand how big this is, I would encourage you to take your rightful place as a part of it, because all too often we wonder, what will they say at the bottom of the statue they will build to me? That goes through all of our minds. Wouldn't it be nice if one of the words were, you were the most joyous person they met?